Have you ever had an idea that just wouldn't let you go? A little spark that you felt deep in your soul, telling you it was meant for something more. That's where our story begins, not in a grand boardroom, but in the heart of a man looking for a solution. The year was 1886, and the place was Atlanta, Georgia. A local pharmacist named Dr. John Stith Pemberton was on a mission. He was a man with a curious mind, always mixing and experimenting with different ingredients. He wanted to create something that could offer a little relief, a simple tonic to ease common ailments like headaches and exhaustion. It was a time of great innovation, and Dr. Pemberton was right in the middle of it all. He wasn't trying to build a global empire or create a symbol that would be known in every corner of the world. His goal was much simpler, much more human. He was working from his backyard, using a three-legged brass kettle to brew his new creation. He carefully combined ingredients, including cola nuts from Africa and coca leaves from South America, creating a fragrant caramel-colored syrup. This wasn't about fame or fortune, it was about the pure joy of invention. He believed he had stumbled upon something special, a unique formula that could bring a moment of refreshment to people's busy lives. It was an act of passion, a quiet pursuit of a personal dream. Imagine the scene, the warm Georgia air, the gentle bubbling of the kettle, and the determined focus of a man who believed in his work. After many attempts, he finally perfected his formula. He took a jug of his new syrup down the street to Jacobs's Pharmacy, a popular local gathering spot. There, it was mixed with carbonated water, creating a bubbly, invigorating beverage unlike anything else. The first glass of this new drink was sold for just 5 cents. It was a humble beginning for what would become one of the most recognized products in history. Little did Dr. Pemberton know that his simple concoction was the first chapter in an incredible story of ambition and connection. So, the next time you see that iconic red and white logo, I want you to remember where it all started. It began with one person's curiosity and a desire to make something helpful. It's a powerful reminder that our greatest achievements often grow from the smallest seeds of inspiration. Dr. Pemberton's journey teaches us that you don't need a grand plan to start. You just need to listen to that inner voice. Take that first step and believe in the possibility of what you can create. His story is a testament to the idea that sometimes the most world-changing ideas come from the quietest of places, born from a simple need and a whole lot of heart. Now, when Dr. Pemberton first created his drink, he had a very specific purpose in mind. He marketed it as a brain tonic and an intellectual beverage. In those days, many people visited their local pharmacy for remedies that could cure everything from nervousness to indigestion. Pemberton's syrup was right at home among these patent medicines. Ads from that time claimed it could relieve fatigue and calm the nerves. It was sold as a concentrate that you could take home, but it truly found its magic when it was mixed with soda water at the fountain. The pharmacy wasn't just a place to get medicine, it was a social hub, a place where people gathered to chat and connect. It was at the soda fountain that Coca-Cola began its transformation from a medicinal tonic into a delightful refreshment. People loved the unique taste, that perfect blend of sweet and tangy with a little fizz. It became a treat, a reason to pause your day and enjoy a simple pleasure. Frank M. Robinson, Dr. Pemberton's bookkeeper and partner, was the one who saw this potential. He not only came up with the name Coca-Cola, believing the 2 C's would look striking in advertising, but he also penned the now famous script logo with his own elegant handwriting. He knew that this drink was more than just a remedy. It was an experience waiting to be shared. Sadly, Dr. Pemberton's health was failing, and he didn't live long enough to see his invention become the sensation it was destined to be. He began selling off parts of his business to various partners, and the ownership became a tangled web. He passed away in 1888, just 2 years after creating his famous formula. He sold his remaining interest in the company shortly before his death, never truly knowing the immense legacy he was leaving behind. It's a poignant part of the story, a reminder that sometimes the creators of great things don't get to witness the full impact of their work. His vision was the spark, but it would take another visionary to turn that spark into a roaring flame. The early days of Coca-Cola teach us a valuable lesson about adaptation. What started as one thing had the potential to become something else entirely. The public decided what Coca-Cola was, not a medicine, but a moment of joy. This shift from the pharmacy shelf to the social counter was a critical turning point. It shows us that sometimes we have to let go of our original idea and allow our creation to find its own path. The world will tell you what it needs. We just have to be open enough and wise enough to listen. That's how true, lasting success is born. Every great story has a turning point, a moment when one person's belief and action change everything. For Coca-Cola, that person was Asa Candler. He was a brilliant Atlanta businessman with incredible foresight. He saw what others didn't, that Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was a brand waiting to be built. Candler began acquiring the rights to the formula, and by 1891, he had purchased the company outright for about $2,300. Can you imagine that? He bought what would become a multi-billion-dollar empire for the price of a used car today. It wasn't just the formula he bought an opportunity, a future he was determined to shape. Candler understood something fundamental about business. You aren't just selling a product, you are selling an idea. He immediately shifted the focus away from any medicinal claims and began marketing Coca-Cola purely as a delicious and refreshing beverage. This was a genius move. He wanted everyone, everywhere, to have a taste. So he embarked on one of the most innovative marketing campaigns of his time. He printed coupons for a free glass of Coca-Cola and distributed them widely. This strategy was revolutionary. It got people into the drugstores and put the product directly into their hands. Once they had that first taste, he knew they would come back for more. His marketing efforts didn't stop there. Candler was relentless. He plastered the Coca-Cola logo on everything he could think of. You would see it on calendars, serving trays, clocks, and drugstore awnings across the country. He wanted the name Coca-Cola to be inescapable, a constant and friendly presence in people's lives. He was creating what we now call brand awareness, making the logo as familiar as a friend's face. He wasn't just selling syrup. He was building a relationship between the customer and the brand. It was a connection built on sight, taste, and the simple pleasure of a shared experience. Asa Candler's story is a powerful lesson in the importance of vision and bold action. He took a small local product and gave it a national ambition. He saw its potential when it was just a whisper and amplified it into a roar. He teaches us that it's not enough to have a good idea. You have to know how to share it with the world. You have to be willing to invest in it, to shout its name from the rooftops, and to believe in it so fiercely that others have no choice but to believe in it too. He transformed Coca-Cola from a simple drink into a symbol of American life, all through the sheer power of marketing and an unwavering belief in its promise. What makes something truly iconic? It's the ability to be recognized in an instant without a single word. Frank M. Robinson's elegantly flowing script for the Coca-Cola logo was the first piece of this puzzle. It was timeless, classic, and full of personality. But as the drink's popularity soared, a new problem emerged: imitation. Competitors were popping up everywhere with similar-sounding names and logos, trying to ride the wave of Coca-Cola's success. Asa Candler and his team knew they needed something more, something that could be identified by touch as well as by sight. They needed a bottle that was as unique as the drink inside it. So, in 1915, the Coca-Cola Company launched a nationwide contest. They challenged glass manufacturers across the country to design a bottle so distinct that you would recognize it by feel in the dark or lying broken on the ground. What an incredible challenge. The winning design came from the Root Glass Company in Terre Haute, Indiana. The team, led by Earl R. Dean, was inspired by the shape of a cocoa pod, which they had mistaken for a coca leaf in their research at the local library. The result was the magnificent contour bottle, a beautifully curved, fluted design that felt substantial and special in your hand. It was patented on November 16, 1915, and a legend was born. This bottle was more than just a container. It was a stroke of marketing genius. It gave Coca-Cola a physical identity that no one could copy. Even without the label, you knew exactly what you were holding. This unique shape became synonymous with the brand, a piece of art that you could find in any general store or vending machine. It elevated the experience of drinking a Coke, making it feel like a small luxury, a special treat. The bottle became a star in its own right, featured in art by Andy Warhol and recognized by people all over the globe. It was a powerful statement that said, "We are the original. We are one of a kind." The story of the logo and the bottle teaches us a profound lesson about the power of identity. In a world full of noise, you have to find a way to stand out. It's about creating something that is authentically and uniquely you. Your brand is more than just what you sell. It's how you present yourself to the world. It's the visual language that tells your story. Coca-Cola understood this better than anyone. They created a visual and tactile signature that has endured for over a century, proving that when you invest in a strong, unmistakable identity, you build a legacy that can truly stand the test of time. With a powerful brand and a unique bottle, Coca-Cola was ready to conquer America. But how do you get a single product into the hands of millions of people spread across a vast country? Well, the answer came in another brilliant business decision: the bottling system. In 1899, two lawyers from Chattanooga, Tennessee, named Benjamin Thomas and Joseph Whitehead, approached Asa Candler with a bold idea. They wanted to buy the rights to bottle Coca-Cola. At the time, Candler was focused on the soda fountain business, and honestly, he didn't see the massive potential of bottled drinks. So, he sold them the exclusive bottling rights for the astonishingly low price of just $1. This decision, which Candler later admitted was a huge oversight, turned out to be the key to Coca-Cola's explosive growth. Thomas and Whitehead, along with another bottler named John Lupton, divided the country into territories and sold bottling franchises to local entrepreneurs. This model was pure genius. It allowed the company to expand rapidly without needing a huge amount of its own capital. Local business owners used their own money to build bottling plants and distribution networks in their communities. They were invested, they were motivated, and they knew their local markets better than anyone in Atlanta ever could. It was a partnership that fueled coast-to-coast expansion. As the network of bottlers grew, Coca-Cola became available everywhere, from big city grocery stores to tiny rural gas stations. The drink became a staple of American life. It was there at baseball games, movie theaters, and family picnics. It represented a moment of pause, a simple, affordable pleasure that everyone could share. The price was kept at a nickel for over 70 years, reinforcing its image as an accessible treat for the common person. Coca-Cola wasn't just a product anymore. It was becoming woven into the very fabric of American culture, a familiar comfort in a rapidly changing world. The expansion of Coca-Cola across the United States is a story about the power of smart partnerships and grassroots growth. It shows us that you don't always have to do everything yourself. By empowering local partners, the company created a dedicated army of ambassadors who helped build the brand from the ground up, town by town. This journey teaches us that real, sustainable growth often comes from collaboration and trust. When you give people a stake in your success, they will move mountains for you. Coca-Cola didn't just sell a drink, it sold an opportunity, and in doing so, it built an unbreakable bond with the heart of America. Just as Coca-Cola had conquered America, the world was thrown into the turmoil of the Second World War. This moment could have been a major setback for the company, but instead, it became one of the most significant opportunities in its history. The president of the company at the time, Robert Woodruff, made a declaration that would change everything. He vowed that every man in uniform gets a bottle of Coca-Cola for 5 cents, wherever he is, and whatever it costs the company. This wasn't just a marketing slogan, it was a profound act of patriotism and support for the troops. It was a promise to bring a taste of home to soldiers fighting thousands of miles away. To fulfill this promise, the company went to extraordinary lengths. They sent bottling plant technicians overseas, right behind the front lines. These brave employees, known as Coca-Cola colonels, were tasked with setting up bottling operations in Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. They built 64 bottling plants abroad during the war, distributing over 5 billion bottles of Coke to service members. The drink became a symbol of American life, a comforting reminder of what they were fighting for. General Dwight D. Eisenhower himself specifically requested that bottling equipment be shipped to North Africa. Coca-Cola wasn't just a beverage, it was a morale booster, a link to home. When the war ended, these overseas bottling plants were not dismantled. They were converted for civilian use, giving Coca-Cola a massive, pre-built international infrastructure. The soldiers returned home with a lifelong loyalty to the brand that had been with them through the toughest of times. And in the countries where American troops had been stationed, people had developed a taste for this unique American drink. Coca-Cola became a symbol of freedom, friendship, and the optimistic American way of life. It was one of the first products to truly globalize, paving the way for countless other brands to follow. The story of Coca-Cola during the war is a powerful lesson in turning a challenge into an opportunity. It shows how aligning your brand with a greater cause can build an unbreakable emotional connection with people. By supporting the troops, Coca-Cola did more than just sell a product. It became a part of their story, a part of history. It teaches us that when you lead with generosity and purpose, the rewards will follow in ways you can't even imagine. The brand's global journey was launched not by a marketing plan, but by an act of service, proving that the most powerful connections are those built on shared values and genuine care. No great success story is without its challenges, and for Coca-Cola, its biggest challenge came in the form of a feisty competitor, Pepsi. For decades, Coke had been the undisputed king of colas. But in the 1970s and 80s, Pepsi launched an aggressive and brilliant marketing campaign called the Pepsi Challenge. It was a series of blind taste tests where ordinary people were asked to choose between two unmarked cups of cola. More often than not, they chose the slightly sweeter taste of Pepsi. This campaign was a direct attack on Coke's dominance, and it started to work. Pepsi's market share began to grow, and for the first time, Coca-Cola felt genuinely threatened. The pressure mounted inside the Coca-Cola headquarters in Atlanta. Executives became obsessed with the taste test results. They believed that the only way to fight back was to change their sacred, century-old formula to make it sweeter, more like Pepsi. And so, on April 23, 1985, the company made what is now considered one of the biggest marketing blunders in history. They announced they were discontinuing the original Coca-Cola and replacing it with a new, sweeter version called New Coke. The company thought it was giving the people what they wanted, but it had fundamentally misunderstood its own brand. The public reaction was immediate and overwhelmingly negative. It was an absolute firestorm. People didn't just dislike the new taste, they felt betrayed. Coca-Cola had taken away more than a drink. It had taken away a piece of their childhood, a symbol of American culture. The company received thousands of angry phone calls and letters. Protest groups formed. People began hoarding cases of the original Coke. They realized that the emotional connection to the brand was far more powerful than a simple preference in a blind taste test. The taste was only part of the story. The rest was about memory, tradition, and identity. After just 79 days of relentless public outcry, the company made a humbling announcement. They were bringing back the original formula under the name Coca-Cola Classic. The return of the original Coke was met with celebration across the country. In a strange twist of fate, the new Coke fiasco ended up being a massive success for the company. It reminded everyone just how much they loved the original Coca-Cola. The brand came back stronger than ever, with a renewed sense of its place in people's hearts. The Cola Wars teach us a vital lesson. Never underestimate the emotional bond people have with your brand. It's a connection built over time, and it's more precious than any formula. If there's one thing Coca-Cola has mastered, it's the art of advertising that does more than just sell a product. It sells a feeling. Throughout its history, the brand has created some of the most memorable and heartwarming campaigns the world has ever seen. Think about the iconic Haddon Sundblom paintings of Santa Claus from the 1930s. Before these ads, Santa was depicted in many different ways. It was Coca-Cola's vision of a jolly, warm, and friendly Santa in a red suit that cemented the image we all know and love today. The company wasn't just selling soda, It was becoming a part of our most cherished holiday traditions. This ability to tap into universal human emotions reached its peak in 1971 with the legendary Hilltop commercial. You all know the one I'm talking about. A diverse group of young people from all over the world stands on a hillside in Italy singing, "I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company." It was a simple, beautiful message of peace and harmony at a time when the world was filled with conflict. That commercial was more than just an ad. It was a cultural moment. It captured a powerful longing for unity and connection, positioning Coca-Cola not as a drink, but as a catalyst for bringing people together. The brand continued this tradition of emotional storytelling with its sponsorships of major global events like the Olympic Games and the FIFA World Cup. By associating itself with these moments of international unity and human achievement, Coca-Cola reinforced its image as a global brand that celebrates the best of humanity. The Always Coca-Cola campaign in the 90s, with its beloved animated polar bears, added a touch of wonder and innocence to the brand. These campaigns worked because they focused on shared values: happiness, togetherness, optimism, and peace. They created a world where having a Coke was an act of friendship. What can we learn from this? We learn that the most powerful marketing speaks to the heart, not just the head. It tells a story that people can see themselves in. Coca-Cola's advertising legacy is a masterclass in building a brand that stands for something bigger than itself. It shows us that if you can associate your product with a positive human emotion, whether it's the joy of Christmas, the hope for world peace, or the thrill of athletic victory, you create a bond that lasts a lifetime. You move beyond being a simple commodity and become a part of people's lives and memories. As the world has evolved, so has Coca-Cola. The company understood that to remain relevant, it couldn't just rely on its flagship product. It needed to innovate and adapt to changing tastes and a growing awareness of health and wellness. This led to the introduction of a whole family of beverages. Diet Coke was launched in 1982, becoming an instant phenomenon and one of the most successful new products in history. Then came Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, offering the classic taste without the calories. The company has also expanded into waters, juices, teas, and sports drinks, becoming a total beverage company for a new generation. Beyond product innovation, Coca-Cola has also recognized its responsibility as a global citizen. The company has invested billions of dollars in community and environmental initiatives all over the world. One of its most significant programs is the 5x20 initiative, which aimed to economically empower 5 million women entrepreneurs across the company's value chain by the year 2020. This program provided women with business skills, training, financial services, and mentoring, helping them to build successful businesses and create better lives for their families and communities. It's a powerful example of using a global platform to create real positive change. Of course, a company of this size faces ongoing challenges. There are important conversations happening today about health, sugar consumption, and environmental sustainability, particularly concerning plastic packaging. Coca-Cola is actively working to be a part of the solution, investing heavily in recyclable materials and water conservation programs. The journey is not over, and the work is not done. But the company's willingness to engage in these issues shows an understanding that a modern global brand must be accountable and strive to have a positive impact on the world it serves. Its legacy will depend not just on what it sells, but on how it leads. So, when we look back at the incredible journey of Coca-Cola, what is the ultimate lesson? It is a story that began in a pharmacy kettle and now touches billions of lives every single day. It's a testament to the power of a simple idea, fueled by relentless marketing, bold vision, and an uncanny ability to connect with the human heart. It shows us that a brand can become more than just a product. It can become a symbol of shared moments, a part of our culture, and a force for good. The story of Coca-Cola is an invitation to every dreamer, every entrepreneur, to believe in the power of their own ideas. It reminds us all to think big, to persevere through challenges, and to build something that not only lasts but also brings a little bit of happiness to the world.